Christmas Eve, many years ago, I lay quietly in my bed. I did not rustle the sheets. I breathed slowly and silently. I was listening for a sound I was afraid I'd never hear. The ringing bells of Santa's sleigh.
Well, you coming?
Where?
Why, to the North Pole, of course. This is the Polar Express. Do you see those lights in the distance? They look like the lights of a strange ocean liner sailing on a frozen sea. There is the North Pole.
There should be elves. Where are the elves? Yeah, where are they?
They are gathering in the center of the city. That is where Santa will give the first gift of Christmas.
Who gets the first gift at Christmas?
He will choose one of you.
Look! Elves!
Gentlemen, 2 columns, if you please. Shorter in the front, taller in the rear. Even-numbered birthdays on the right, odd-numbered on the left. No pushing! No pushing! Let's not
Let's have this young fellow right here. Now, what would you like for Christmas?
Me.
You.